In 1965, psychologist Melvin Lerner made a chilling discovery. When we see someone suffer, our first reaction isn't always compassion, it's judgment. What did they do to deserve this? We wonder. This cognitive reflex is known as the just world fallacy, and it's far more than a philosophical misstep. It's a subconscious script quietly influencing how you see yourself, others, and the world. From Stoic wisdom to modern psychology, one truth echoes loud and clear. Unquestioned beliefs shape everything: your decisions, your relationships, even your self-worth. And the most dangerous ones, they often go unnoticed. Today, we'll expose 3 of the most damaging mental traps and the ancient and modern tools you can use to break free. It all begins with understanding the nature of the invisible walls we build around ourselves. Walls made not of facts, but of fear. This brings us to the nature of limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are mental handcuffs, subtle but strong. They're the voices that whisper, "You're not smart enough," or "You're just not a leader." Beliefs like these aren't truths. They're internalized fears, often rooted in past failures, harsh criticism, or societal conditioning, and they quietly shape the course of your life. Take public speaking. If you believe you're terrible at it, you'll avoid it. Not because you truly can't, but because your belief stops you before you even try. These internal scripts erode confidence, shrink opportunity, and subtly corrode your mental well-being. Now, let's explore where these beliefs come from. They're usually born from pain, failures, rejections, or the words of someone we trusted. Over time, these moments harden into truths, creating a distorted lens through which we see the world. That's why identifying them is the first step toward liberation. But some beliefs are sneakier. They masquerade as moral reasoning, cloaked in the illusion of fairness. This leads us into the next trap, the just world fallacy, when fairness becomes a weapon. Let's zoom in on a belief that feels comforting, but is actually corrosive. The just world fallacy tells us that people get what they deserve. It's a belief rooted in our longing for order. Good people should be rewarded, bad people punished. But here's the danger. It leads us to blame victims rather than help them. Psychologically, it's a shield against chaos. If we think the world is fair, we feel protected. But socially and morally, this belief becomes toxic. A 2010 Psychological Bulletin study revealed that those who hold just world beliefs are significantly less empathetic and far more likely to accept inequality as deserved. Now let's turn to a philosophical counterpoint. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius warned against equating virtue with external rewards. "The universe is change," he wrote. "Our purpose is to adapt." In other words, life doesn't owe us anything, but we owe ourselves perspective. Want to challenge this belief? Begin by observing your assumptions. When you see suffering, yours or someone else's, ask not what they did to deserve it. Ask instead, how can I respond with wisdom and compassion? But what happens when the belief isn't about others, but about ourselves? That's where things become even more insidious. It leads us into the paralyzing grip of learned helplessness, the curse of invisible chains. This is a belief so subtle, it often masquerades as reality. In 1976, psychologist Martin Seligman made a disturbing observation. Dogs repeatedly exposed to inescapable shocks eventually stopped trying to escape, even when the doors were open. They learned to be helpless. Humans, sadly, aren't so different. A person stuck in a toxic job or a harmful relationship may remain not because they physically can't leave, but because they believe they can't. The invisible prison is belief, not circumstance, but there's a way out, and it starts in the brain. Neuroscience points to the dorsal raphe nucleus, which floods the body with stress hormones during perceived powerlessness. But this can be rewired. Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist Viktor Frankl offered the blueprint. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. One small choice, like taking a walk, setting a boundary, or starting a project, can rekindle that sense of agency. A 2019 Harvard study found that even minor daily actions can reverse the helplessness loop, helping the brain rediscover its power. And finally, there's one belief that's so normalized, so ingrained, it often escapes scrutiny entirely. Let's look at the scarcity mindset, the poverty of perception. This is a belief that's so common, we mistake it for realism. In 2013, behavioral economists Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir found that scarcity of time, money, or attention literally shrinks our cognitive capacity, dropping IQ by up to 14 points. That's the mental cost of constantly feeling like there's not enough. But scarcity isn't just a resource problem, it's a perception problem. It turns everyday choices into crises. It makes abundance invisible, even when it's within reach. So how do we break free? Taoist philosophy offers a radical alternative. Wu Wei, effortless action, teaches us to stop forcing control and start flowing with reality. Instead of scrambling for more, redirect focus toward what already exists. Gratitude, skill building, presence. These aren't just feel-good habits. They retrain the brain's reticular activating system to seek possibilities instead of threats. It's why CEOs schedule blank time and why mindful parents reclaim joy in simple moments. When you stop operating from lack, you start creating from strength. So, what if the most dangerous beliefs are the ones you never notice? Ideas like, life is always fair, I'm stuck, or there's never enough. These aren't truths, they're mental scripts. And the good news? Scripts can be rewritten. The Stoics knew it. The Buddhists lived it. Neuroscience proves it. Your brain can change. You are not trapped. You're evolving. So pause. Question what you've accepted without proof. That's where freedom begins. If this hit home, share it with someone quietly struggling. Subscribe for more insights like this, and in the comments tell us, what belief are you ready to let go of? As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But now, you get to choose the ending.